Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Young, Famous, and African Season 2. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. I was so excited to see that Young, Famous, and African got a Season 2. I love Season 1. I never talked about it on here, but I love Season 1. I wasn't feeling good, so I was in bed all day. I literally binge watched it all in one day. I know. You know how the portrayal is in the media that everybody in Africa is running around, barely wearing any clothes, live in huts and things like that. And there are people that do. There's nothing wrong with that. But also don't just show one aspect and try to make it seem as if there are not affluent people over, in the various countries in Africa, because Africa is not a country. Y'all, just side note, I just saw this video where they were asking people to name countries in Africa. I think they were like, name 3, and people were literally naming fictional countries from movies like Zamunda and Wakanda. And I'm like, y'all, there are so many other countries you can name, and you choose fictional ones. That's why we need the representation in media that will show the different sides. The main gripe I have for this season is that we didn't get to see how these people make their money. I wish that we could have saw a little bit more of them in their craft. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we saw people going to the studio, but they were flirting. That was the main point of them going to the studio. Yeah, we saw people about to have a performance, but we didn't actually see the performance. Yeah, they might say their career path when they first introduced them, but then after that, we don't see anything else about it. All we see is the drama, and in between their interpersonal relationships, we see men playing women, women arguing over these men. And these are supposed to be very successful people. It kind of does go to show you that we're all the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have some of the same drama that people with, way less have. But I just would love to see, like, even though we kind of got that Season 1, there were new people that were introduced, and we really didn't get much of their backstory. Just them making claims that they are this person. And I believe them, but it's like, yeah, give us a little backstory to these people. But with that being said, y'all, everybody let their toxic side out. They let their ugly side come out. Like, it was very combative this season. Like, yes, we had some drama last season, but man, like, they doubled and tripled that drama. It almost didn't feel like the same show. Like, yes, I remember these same characters, but I don't remember y'all being this messy. I don't remember y'all handling each other's emotions this raggedy. I'm gonna start with Louis. And I love how everyone on the cast was calling him Louis. I don't know if that's like a part of the accent or whatever, but that was so cute. They were calling him Louis. You could tell upon first arrival that Louis really wanted to be accepted. Now, I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw Louis, I thought he was a poser. I thought he was a fraud. I thought he was somebody that was just, wanted to be seen. One of these handsome guys with no personality that think people should just bow down and worship them and want to be their friend just because they're cute. It was so funny to me when he acted like he was this special celebrity guest in Nadia's music video, when in actuality he was just an extra. He got deflated on his first scene. I was like, dang. Kanye is the person that brought him into the group. And so, when he said he was staying up all night practicing his toast, which Kanye did press upon him, like, this is going to be a big moment for you. And then didn't even let him have his moment. Like, that was kind of, at first I was like, he's so pressed. But I'm like, dang, Kanye, you the one who told him this is the way he was going to be introduced. And then you going to do him like that? And then at some point he was like, he wanted a surrogate because he wanted to have a child. He didn't even have to have a woman in the picture. He just really, really wanted a child. And it did come off like a storyline. It just sounded like something outrageous to say so you can get camera time. We'll find out later why he actually wanted that. Another controversy that he was in when he was 21 years old, mind you, he's 30 now, so this was like 9 years ago. He invited one of the new cast members, Bonang, to be a special guest at one of his events, and he was to fly her out to Namibia. So it turns out that because of a hotel mix-up, it was packed during that time, as you can imagine, an award show. It was really packed during that time for the event. He ended up losing her room, and so when she got there, you know, she was kind of met without a room, and you know, he still feels bad about that to this day. Basically said he was going to apologize to her when he saw her. So Swanky is friends with Bonang. Instead of allowing Lewis to approach her and apologize the way he wanted to, he went behind his back and lied and told the story all jacked up and made it seem like Lewis was out here telling everybody she was being a diva because she didn't have flowers in her room. And it's like, Swanky, why are you lying? Is that really what Swanky thought he heard, or is Swanky starting mess? Because that's what it felt like this season. It felt like Swanky was just really, really messy and wanted to be Regina George Queen Bee. So later on, when Bonang and Lewis met up, she already had animosity towards him, already a little bit standoffish towards him, because she's thinking that he's talking crap behind her back. Swanky made him put it all out on the table and explain himself, and he was very apologetic and he gave his explanation for what happened, but she already had her mind fixed on what Swanky told her that he did, instead of listening to what he actually did. He never said that. While he's over here apologizing, she's refusing to hear his side, and somebody pulled up proof from an old Facebook post that he was actually telling the truth. Further along in the conversation, he's talking to Fantana. He's telling her that she should keep her relationship with Diamond professional because he doesn't want her to be known as like his side chick or something like that. It was actually good advice, because later on in the show we find out that everybody knows that Diamond has a girlfriend, even though he denied having a girlfriend. Okay, we're gonna get to him. The way he said it might have been in a jacked up way, but I understood where he was coming from. He was just trying to give her advice, because that's how people will look at her in the situation. I mean, exactly how we're looking at her now. For whatever reason, Bonang took whatever he was saying very personal, and she just completely went in on him, was yelling and screaming at this man, and it just was coming out of nowhere. It felt like for no reason, and she basically was like, she could mess with whoever she wants to. I screwed the biggest stars and I was okay. And it's just like, this ain't even about you. Bonang just went too far, in my opinion. And so once again, he was apologizing. It's not like he was even trying to argue with him, even though he, you know, he felt like he wasn't in wrong. He still apologized. Bonang causes this big uproar, this big scene with Lewis, and just really like lashes out at him. And then the next thing you know, she quits the show. It's not like Bonang only did a couple of scenes. Like, she did scenes with a lot of the other castmates, like even one-on-one. Yeah, it seemed like she had a little friction with Kanye and Nadia. But other than that, it just didn't make any sense why she just completely quit. Other than maybe she was embarrassed of how she acted. Maybe she was drunk. I don't know, y'all. It just didn't make any sense. She just quit the show. We didn't see or hear nothing from Bonang after that. So I guess because Bonang wasn't there to defend herself, Swanky decided to pick up her gripe and literally started bullying Lewis for no reason. Like, he just was coming at Lewis every time he saw him. And it was so weird. It's like, why are you treating this man like this? Yeah, he comes off a little corny. Yes, he comes off as try hard. He ain't did nothing to you. He ain't did nothing to nobody in the group for you to be coming at this man like this. The worst part is Lewis was so non-confrontational. He took so much. After the second or third time of Swanky coming at him, he finally stood up for himself and defended himself against the mean girl antics, but he wasn't even trying. Like, he was trying so hard to make peace. The girls in the group, Zari, Nadia, and Kanye, which was his friend that brought him in, they all ended up standing up for him and defending him against Swanky, and like, Swanky, calm down, like, what you doing? Like, they really did have his back. And so he felt like Kanye was a safe space for him to talk to, so he pulled her to the side and was asking for advice on whether he should bring up the fact that he wants to do a surrogacy with Zari. She was a little weirded out by the interaction. She was like, yeah, why is he touching me? And I'm just like, I thought this was your friend. And so instead of like trying to gain clarity on what he meant or like where he was coming from with this. He said that he heard that she wanted to do a surrogacy, and also maybe he could be a donor for her or she could be a donor for him. That's still a little bit on the odd side of things. I don't think he's aware of that though. I don't think he's doing it in a malicious way or trying to be nasty, trying to just get her knocked up, or I want her to carry my baby. I don't think that's what he meant. And so for Kanye to go around and basically spread this rumor and make him look so crazy when he was just coming to you to confide in you, like, how did Kanye get away with that? Kanye does a lot of messy, underhanded stirring the pot. Like, her main role this season was being an instigator under the guise of being a peacemaker. She'll see that people are arguing and she'll be like, yeah, we need to get them together so that they can work this out, when really she just wants to see the fireworks. And it's crazy, like, she did all of that and we barely saw any of Kanye's life. We didn't see her daughter, we didn't see her man, we didn't see what she did for a living. All she did was start mess and get away with it this season. Delay at that party when she, I feel like the main reason why he called her out is because he was embarrassed because he was put on Front Street for, you know, what he was trying to do with Zari. And Zari did call her a snake behind her back, but not to her face. But I'm just like, y'all let Kanye get away with murder. But let me get back to what I was saying. So she started that rumor about Zari, and that only fueled Swanky's fire to make him want to continue to go in. I always have a nasty, snarky comment for Louis. He acted like he was giving him a gift, but it was actually like this really juvenile, corny prank. And it was a shirt that had fraud on it, and he did it in front of everybody, and it was just like, it was just really nasty for no reason. Even though Angela got on my nerves this season, shout out to him for actually being a shoulder for Louis to cry on and a person that he could actually confide in. When we find out Louis's story, it is so sad. Like, it turns out that he participated in a Big Brother show, and on the show he got busy with one of the women on there, and that's against his religion. So the entirety of his family has disowned him since he was 21 years old. I can't even imagine not having contact with anyone from my family, especially at the tender age of 21. Like, I know we like to think of 21 as grown, but that's still a baby, and you still need guidance, like, from your parents, from your grandparents. I can only imagine his siblings, his cousins, just not having any sort of grounding in that way. I see why he be looking lost. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, because he for him to be 30, he just doesn't seem rooted. He seemed like he'll sway with the wind in certain instances. He's kind of thirsty for that community. Now we see why he wants a child so bad, whether he has a mother in the picture or not. That's why he comes off thirsty for friends, because he's looking for community. He's looking for family. And I hope he finds it, but I hope he finds it elsewhere. These ain't the people to have it with. I'm sorry. They've been doing a little bit too much cattiness and backbiting this season. I don't think these are the people to do that with. I really didn't like how Swanky tried to switch up. Like, when he heard him tell his story, Swanky was like, oh, you know, I'm not really like that. He tried to switch up real fast because he knew he was gonna look bad. But nah, we already saw your true color, Swanky. We saw you for who you are already, okay? And I hope that Louis did as well. He doesn't really think you're a friend. I really do hope that Louis flourishes. I wish the best for him. Maybe he needs to seek therapy, because, you know, a child isn't always the answer to those sort of questions. I think you should make yourself whole as a person before you decide to become a parent, and possibly you might come across a good woman and be able to start a family that way. Because like many of the other people on the show were saying, like, you know, kids are not a walk in the park. Plenty of people are single parents every day. Plenty of men are single fathers every day. So it's possible, but before you go out on a limb and make that decision, I would do a little bit more soul searching. So now let's move on to Fantana. Fantana is she a rapper or a singer? Yeah, I don't even remember, because They don't focus on it on this show. She said she was the #1 Ghanaian dancehall artist. She's someone that very much leads with sensuality. She's gonna have the boobs and butt on display, very much Fashion Nova wear, okay? One thing I do want to point out about her, she was born in America. She didn't really have the accent, and I feel like she has a lot of the ways of Americans, like even the slang and everything. So it almost felt like they dropped somebody from Atlanta over in this show. I'm not saying, because I do know she's African, but it just, her feel is like completely different than everybody else on the show, if you ask me, except for maybe Nadia. She came in with her eye on Diamond. She should have been trying to give Lewis a chance, because he actually took her on a real date with flowers and actually tried to look out for you with the whole Diamond situation, and you threw him under the bus the first chance you got without even having a conversation with him, without finding out whether the rumors were true. You just followed behind everybody else, making yourself look like an airhead, not even getting his side of the story. She's somebody else that did him dirty. But yeah, you want to follow after Diamond when Diamond only wants you for one thing, and then when it came down to it, between you and Zari, which I believe wholeheartedly that Diamond said whatever he said to Fantana, had her head big like she was higher in rank than Zari, and you know that Zari didn't mean nothing to her, and Zari was still trying to be on him and he don't control her, and I believe he was feeding her all that stuff. But when it came down to it and it was you, Zari, and him sitting down, he did not have your back. He let you get ate up by the wolves. It just didn't seem like he cared much about you in that moment. It's crazy. You had all this smoke for Zari. You was all riled up and ready to fight Zari. And look, Zari has her ways, okay? Zari does act like she's the queen of everybody, and like she's very condescending, and she's gonna say her snarky remarks, and she feels like she owns Diamond. I do believe that. But you are giving this bird behavior like you're fighting over this shaky temporary position in his life, like you are a placeholder for the next person. And then she'll act like, oh, he's replaceable, he's like 5th on my list, and I don't even really want him like that. But yeah, you're acting like you're all in your feelings over this man you just met. The saddest part to me is that we didn't even really get to hear much of her music. The most we got out of this situation is that she got played. It's really sad. We saw you be catty and fight over this man the whole season. We didn't even really get to know who you were as a person. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to Zari. It feels like the beef with Annie from last season was trying to carry on into this season, and I barely remember what the beef was about. Like, I remember she was being a little disrespectful when it came to Annie and her husband. Maybe she wanted to pull her husband to the side and say something about Annie. I don't know. I forgot exactly what it was, but they were trying to carry the beef over to this season, and it wasn't working. It flopped. So eventually the next thing we know, we see them hanging out together like it was nothing. I'm just like, okay. I do think it's a little weird that she likes to play this main chick role to Diamond. Like, they really have no boundaries in their relationship. I understand they have children together, but y'all are not in a relationship, so y'all have no boundaries set. But then you want to act surprised when someone gets mad when you are talking to someone else, or you feel like the other person is overstepping. It's because y'all have nothing in place. Y'all, the lines are so blurred with you two. I wouldn't be surprised if y'all was still like messing around behind the scenes. And it almost feels like she was doing this whole flirtatious thing with Andile just to make him mad. It's like she wanted to make him jealous, even though I don't think necessarily she was in the wrong for talking to Andile, because they're not together. So I don't see anything wrong with her wanting to talk to him. But it just seems like she got a kick out of, like, when he walks in a room, she's talking to Andile and she's like, what? Why is everybody mad? Why can't I do that? Girl, you know why. Stop. But I do feel like Andile, he was the one that was shady in this situation. Because one, if you didn't see anything wrong with you wanting to have this relationship with Zari, why were you hiding it? Why did y'all have to get caught in her home? And also, you knew you weren't on good terms with him. That's why you was like, are you sure he invited me to this party? Y'all are supposed to be friends. So if y'all are friends, why are you being shady and going behind the back? But I also feel like Diamond is just looking at Zari as property at this point. Like, that's mine, so you can't have it. You coming in, you trying to get in my family. I definitely understand service level, but I feel like deep down, he just feels like he owns Zari and he wants to control that situation. And also, as his friend, he knows that you're a dog. You're just a dog in like a fancy font, because the way Andile presents himself is very like professional, very charming. He seems like he's better than his behavior. Like he wouldn't be a player, but in actuality, he's one of the biggest players on this show. He acts like he's above it all, when really he rolling around in the mud with everybody else. Come on, stop it. I just didn't believe in the chemistry between him and Zari. Both of them moved on too fast. She just didn't care, and he was just so quick to move on to his baby mama. That was probably storyline. Moving on to his baby mothers, I don't know why he brought them on this show other than to feel like he was some sort of pride. He wants to make it look like he's very desirable because he has these two beautiful women fighting over him. Mind you, he has a type because they look so much alike. They could be twins. I still to this day cannot tell them apart. When they had that similar hair color and similar hairstyle, I could not tell them apart. I'm like, did you really have to go out and find the exact same woman? I feel like he secretly loves when they fight with each other. He's the messy baby daddy. He invited both of them to, first of all, why are you inviting your baby mothers who still have feelings for you? I don't care what either of them say. You invite them to Zari's party, someone that you supposedly like, and then you seat them near each other, but you seat yourself on the other side of the room, knowing that they have friction. And so when they start having a cat fight, you want to make it seem like, oh, surprise, you don't know. You knew exactly what you were doing. You started all of that. And why did you expose all of this catty drama to the world? For him to present himself the way he does, you would think he would protect them in that way, but he actually exposed them and exploited the situation. It put such a nasty taste in my mouth because he barely tried to mediate. He barely tried to break it up. He wanted that to happen. I really hated seeing women fight over men on this show. Like, I hated it. Y'all are supposed to be so successful and affluent. It was so unnecessary. I hated it. And I hated the way that they allowed him to yo-yo their feelings and, oh, I may have feelings for this one. Oh, I may have feelings for that one. It depends on who face I'm in at the time. Like, he claims he wants to settle down, but your actions show that you're a player and you do not know what you want. You don't know what you want. And a part of me feels like you do know what you want and you can't have it. You know you can't have both of them. And you know you can't have both of them and still dip out and do whatever it is you want to do. But you still want to have access to them to do that. And I wouldn't give him that anymore. Cut him all the way off. Just the kids. That's it. That's all we talking about. So let's talk about Nadia. There is not much to say about Nadia. Nadia, where's the studio sessions? We saw her at the venue that she was going to perform at, but we didn't see her perform. Like, where's this guy that you're dating? Apparently this guy is the ex of Bonang or something like that. Something messy like that. We didn't even get to see him on the show. Glossed over that little fling she had with Diamond like that didn't happen. I see that she was being peacemaker for the most part in these situations, but I don't know. Nadia was kind of like floating. Let's talk about Quentin, aka Naked DJ, and Kaylee. I don't know. They're kind of like filler to me. Especially Kaylee, when she's out to these events, like, yeah, she'll give her 2 cents and she'll make sense, but ain't nobody really listening. Don't nobody even really include Kaylee. Like, she's there, but it's like, okay, maybe they don't come for her out of respect for Quentin. I don't know. But yeah, they came back faking, if you ask me. Like, y'all had all these issues last season and all of a sudden, yeah, we haven't fought since last season, everything is just so good. It was a little bit too much faking in front for me from them. And then we get to this whole trailer proposal that was so embarrassing and humiliating. Just because Swanky was like, oh, this is a nice background, you should propose. So he did what he called a trailer proposal, where he got down on one knee in front of the group, professed his love for her, and basically asked for her hand in marriage. Mind you, there was no ring and no real explanation. Like, the next day she was like, I don't know if I'm really engaged or not. First of all, Kaylee, how did you not get clarity? Like, this is why people think this show is scripted, because you mean to tell me you didn't ask him afterwards, like, was this a real proposal? She went and met with the group afterwards and like, I don't even know if I'm really engaged or not. Kaylee, you can't be that much of a ditz. Like, I just can't. And you have all this mouth for everybody else's situation. Y'all have been in a relationship for 3 years. And he's been married twice before. If you don't think you want to marry me by now, you must don't know. Okay? Clearly, Kaylee want to get married. She ain't one of those people that don't want to get married. So, I'm sorry. I'll be ready to leave him. I don't even understand what she sees in him. Oh, yeah. And at the very end, they had this little special dinner, and you know, you would think this is where he proposed, since the trailer proposal, which is a term he completely made up. You know, like a trailer before a movie, like the little preview, I guess is like a preview engagement. You would think at this dinner he would propose, but no, he just presented her with a key to his house. And she was, oh. They're exhausting. I cannot. Another exhausting couple. Annie, what are you doing? You're with this man, Two-Face, and he's had multiple babies on you. And then there's a rumor that comes out that he's going to have another baby on you by your banker. If it were true, it would be the 6th child outside of their marriage while they were married. Both of them claim it's not true, and that it's like an old article that keeps reappearing and that people keep circulating. I feel like they're another couple that were trying to put on a happy face, like, oh, we're just laughing at everyone else because, you know, they think we have this terrible relationship, but really we're really happy. And I don't see that in her eyes. Your eyes look sad to me. I feel like further proof that he hasn't changed was the conversation that he had at dinner. And he was basically saying that a man can love a woman and make love to his woman, but his natural urges will always win. Basically, if he feels like he wants to cheat, he's going to cheat. Andile has been Annie's bodyguard this entire season. He's been extra protective over her and Two-Face. When this whole thing came out, he had her on his podcast. Like, he's just been like overprotective. It feels like why? Like, I maybe because she's not friends with Swanky like that, so maybe he's jumping in. I don't know, but he's just been so protective over Annie this season, and like making excuses for the situation. Don't make excuses, because when Two-Face was saying that crazy stuff at the table, Annie was embarrassed and humiliated, and everybody was trying to jump on Nadia and trying to act like it was Nadia's fault because she asked a clarifying question. And he turned around and doubled down on what he said. Don't get mad at her. Like, y'all trying to coddle this man and put words in his mouth. He said what he said. He meant what he said. And he heard what he said, got embarrassed, and got up and left. So don't try to clarify what he said. He said what he said, and he bent it. Regardless of how Annie says she feels, she ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere until she had enough. Sadly, I don't think she has had enough. Okay, and then finally, I saved the biggest drama for last. So, as we all know, if you watched last season, Swanky and Annie were the closest out of everyone. When you saw one, you saw the other. You could tell they were best friends. So for us to come into this season and for them to not even be speaking, when Swanky walks in the room, he hugs everybody but Annie. Of course everybody is thrown off. Of course everybody is going to speculate and wants to know what's going on, what's happening. And people were constantly asking them individually, like, what happened? Both of them were very evasive and they didn't want to say, but eventually it came out. From what I gathered from both of them, Swanky throws events basically all the time. This is what he does. Annie wanted to throw an event with Swanky. I guess at some point she decided that she wanted to throw the event without him, so she was kind of like trying to go behind his back and talk to, I guess, the coordinator. She's talking crap to this person about Swanky. Swanky is actually on three-way and listening in, and she doesn't know it. Even though Swanky has been a mean girl this entire season and he's turned me all the way off, like he got on my last nerve, I completely believe him because he was ride or die for Annie. So for him not to be cool with her, I don't think he did that for no reason. When he heard that and he found out what she tried to do, he decided that he was going to go on and have the event without her, not invite her. And really, they hadn't talked since then. They hadn't talked for months until the show started filming. And so even though they weren't close at the time. Swanky heard about the rumor of Two-Face having this baby on her. He sent her a voice note sounding very emotional, you know, saying that he wanted to talk to her. She never responded, but when asked about what happened between them, she played the recording for Bonang and Zari. That was very childish. She did not have to do that, because clearly I feel like that came from his heart. I don't think she was faking, but she was trying to make it seem like he was being fake about it. I don't think so. So when they finally had their first sit down, Annie completely denied that she said anything, and, you know, was trying to basically gaslighting Swanky and making it seem like he was making it up and like she never said those things. She was just very defensive, and you could tell she said it. You could tell she was just being so defensive, and she just was trying to end the conversation without giving Swanky any sort of real apology for what she did. Like, when you apologize, you need to say what you're apologizing for. She was just trying to give this blanket apology without being real about what she did and how it affected him in their relationship and how hurt he was, because she was trying to start in the middle saying, oh, well, you threw this party, you didn't invite me, and, you know, it hurt me and my kids. No, starting the beginning with what you did to make him react that way. Because, yeah, I'm sure Swanky was acting childish, not speaking and stuff like that, but he was hurt. And I do think Swanky was acting out this season. I agree with Kanye. I feel like friendship breakups are just as bad as relationship breakups. No, you're not intimate in a romantic way, but you're intimate in a, you know, platonic friendship way, where I confide in you. I've told you my secrets. You told me your secrets. You're my confidant. I trust you. You trust me. I support you. You support me. You have my back. I have your back. Yeah, he was hurt, and I do think he was lashing out. That doesn't excuse his behavior at all, but I do think it does kind of give us insight as to why he was acting so crazy this season. But yeah, at the end of that meeting, it kind of just got brushed under the rug. Swanky just pretended to be okay at the end. And the second meetup that they had, Andile was there to kind of be like a mediator. Swanky wasn't having it this time. Like, you're not finna gaslight me. He was mad, getting loud, banging on the table. Basically, you're not gonna make me feel like I'm crazy. I know you said what you said. I heard what you said. It's burned into my brain. I'll never forget it, because you was my best friend. Like, how dare you do this to me? And, you know, she was very resistant. She even got mad at Andile at one point. Like, now I'm mad at you for bringing me here. Like, she's just being so defensive and combative because you're wrong. And so eventually she did admit that she said it. And she said the reason why she was acting like that is because she felt like when she was going through this whole controversy with Two-Face, she felt like Swanky didn't have her back and was kind of like trying to back up because of his brand. He didn't want to be like associated with that. Swanky didn't deny it. You know, I believe that could be true as well, because Swanky seems like he's very image driven. So because she really got vulnerable and told him the truth, I feel like that was a genuine apology she gave him. I feel like he accepted it. I don't know if their friendship will ever be the same. I doubt he'll ever trust her again the way he did before, because that was a betrayal. But I bet you he won't confront Two-Face again. He was trying to come to Two-Face. Yeah, I thought we were friends and you didn't do nothing to try to fix our relationship. He's like, that's between you and Annie. And don't come to me in front of everybody. You could have pulled me to the side. You had my number. You could have pulled me to the side and we could have had a conversation man to man. You want to confront me in front of everybody and cause a scene? Well, I'm going to give you a scene. And he basically checked him and let him know what it was. And I was not mad. See, that's exactly what you deserve. You didn't try to pull that bully mess on Two-Face. You didn't try to pull that mean girl mess on him. You backed down real quick. You didn't make him a t-shirt with fake on the back. Even though Two-Face, I don't like him like that for what he's doing to Annie. I was here for him in that moment because, yeah, you do have my number. If you really had something to say, you could have said it a long time ago. But anyway, you guys, that's it for my review. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this season of Young, Famous, and African. I would love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in my next one. Peace.